Hi, everyone. This is the second kind of relaxed, casual podcast discussion between me and Karlie for Unusual Beginnings. We have no idea what we're talking about. And I think we're going to keep it in this format because, well, we know that we're always going to talk about relationships and like dating and things and events.
Conversations are like how about
Yeah.
dating or
I mean,
relationships.
that's what Unusual Beginnings is. So,
Yeah, so it's perfect.
yeah. So, yes, you guys know what we're going to talk about in essence. I don't know what this is. Don't
We
know
don't
why
know
I'm
what
doing this.
specific topics like we'll be talking about, but we'll get into it.
Get into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We
how's
can
it been?
we can talk about like different styles of communication
Mm,
and
okay.
how that can impact a relationship or the start of a relationship.
You want to talk about
Because
this because of a communication issue that you've had recently. Tell us about that. Tell us
yes,
about
of
that, Carly.
course. No, because I'm currently talking to someone and our communication styles are very different. He says he's a horrible texter with like Johnny and I. Whenever people say that, we're just like, bullshit. Like everyone's on their
Mm-hmm.
phone. And he says that he like, hates to like be on his phone like after work or, things like that. And I was like, okay, like I get it. I personally prefer video calls or phone calls. So like I feel like for someone who hates texting, like that would be perfect. But we haven't had a video call. We're supposed to have one today, actually.
Exciting. What time is that at?
Yeah. So I will let you know how that goes. Because the texting, I feel like he hates me. There's
He gives you
there's
one
like
word answers, doesn't he?
yeah, he gives me like one word answers. He like doesn't ask any questions, like follow-up questions. Like I'll ask questions, he'll answer it, and then that's it. And then I'm basically
Mm,
carrying the conversation.
mm.
And so yesterday, because he gave me like a one-word answer, and so I just didn't bother to like reach out again. I'm like, if he wants to talk to me, then he'll reach out. Like I'm not gonna reach out asking like another question. And sure enough, yeah, he like reached out. He was like, "Oh, like what about you? Like, what did you do? Like, how were you?" And I'm
So
like,
good.
wow,
He
it
actually
took you
reciprocated.
like, yeah, I'm like, it took you like a whole day, but whatever. He said he was hanging out with friends. So I'm like, okay, like that's fine. You're back home. Like, he's back in Canada right now. Yeah. But I don't know. It's just through text
Oh, yeah. That.
messages.
So he was actually reciprocated your messages and he asked you how you are.
Yeah. So,
Good.
but it's just, yeah, like he did. And I was like, thank God, because sometimes I don't know. I feel like he doesn't want to talk to me or anything like that. But I don't know. Maybe it's just our communication styles are just like so different because even though I feel like if you are not a big texter, when you do text, there should be effort into that, you know, because you don't do it
Yes.
often. So you should like want to like ask the questions and like be intriguing and be involved.
Mm,
Because it would just seem like he didn't like want to talk to me. He like doesn't want to like answer the questions. Like I feel like I'm annoying him, but
mm.
that could also just be like in my head too.
It could be,
Because
but also, you don't know what's going on in someone's lives. You don't know how busy he is. You don't know.
yeah, and he's like
Like
a very
he was
busy person.
traveling. He was traveling, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he traveled like the day before I did. Well, honestly, like a few days because he went from Madrid to Paris and then Paris to Canada.
Mm-hmm. That's a
And
lot of
then
traveling.
I traveled to Canada like the next day. But, like, when he was, like, traveling, he, like, was texting me on the plane. So maybe it's just in my head.
Yeah, I think it was in your head. But there is something to be said about this kind of communication style. Is there are a lot of people that kind of are not on their phones as much as me and you are. I mean, like for example, my job is my phone, my laptop, like my WhatsApp is on my MacBook. I've got my phone next to me all the time, and my whole world, because I'm a tech guy, my whole world is I'm there. I'm getting messages. I'm very good at just like responding quickly to people.
Yeah.
And answering my phone. Some people aren't. Some people are not geared that way. They're
And then
not.
another thing that I noticed because we communicate through WhatsApp, I'll send a message, but it won't deliver for, like, a while. But then I notice, like, as soon as it is delivered, he will open it
Mm,
right away, and then he'll, like, text back.
Okay, so it's like maybe a connection issue. Maybe he's not got his
Yeah.
phone on. Maybe he
Yeah.
turns it off for certain things. I mean,
Maybe.
in a
Yeah.
way, that could signal some quite healthy habits on his part. Because
Yeah.
I was actually listening to a really good book today called I have to get it up actually. It's on my Spotify. It was called, I think it was called Stoicism. Yes.
Okay.
Stoicism. And I was listening to this today. This is a really good book actually about, and it was literally, there was one chapter, a whole chapter about disconnecting from like technology and
I need to do that.
living with yourself, thinking about who you want to are. No contact with anybody. It's easier said than done in this modern age, but it's a really healthy habit. And I think like his communication style probably indicates that he's quite good at doing that, which is a very, very healthy, good thing. I need to work on it myself. I try to do it every now and again, but modern day times, my job, our business, everything requires us to be on the pulse with social media, with technology. So it kind of like makes it really hard for us to do that. Um, so yeah, maybe I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Yeah, you're right. Plus, I don't know. He seems like someone that, could have like a healthy relationship with. Because when we were talking in person, it was like great conversation. He would initiate like the conversation and everything.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's just being away and, for a little bit, we were in like different time zones for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because he was like back in Canada. But yeah, like he's also has like a very busy schedule, but he does like make the effort to like at least talk to me every day.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Because we've
It
talked
might
about
not
this
be
before
like,
about making the effort, haven't we? Like, for example, when you were in
yeah,
Canada, when you were in the Boston and I was in Asia, we still found time to talk. So there is literally
exactly.
no excuse.
Yeah.
And I think inadvertently, I've kind of set the bar for people there in your life, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Um, so there is no excuse. So he's showing you that he's showing you that he's willing to, my words, he's showing you that he's willing to come up to that bar, come up to that level, meet those standards, which is
Yeah.
good or close to.
Yeah. Like step up to the plate and like showing me that like
Hmm.
he is because I like sent you like the screenshots of our text.
You did, yeah.
But yeah, because I said, like you said you're not great at texting. So if you want to like change up our way of communicating with each other, if you want to
Hmm.
do more like phone calls, at least like once a day or something like that. And he was like, no, like, I'm sorry. Like, I've just been like really busy, but we can text and, we can, and he said, we can have a call this week as well. Like, I want to talk to you. And then yesterday, I asked him if he wanted to like, you know, do like a FaceTime call yesterday. And he was like, no, today I'm really busy, but can we do it tomorrow?
Mm.
So he like, instead of saying, no, like I'm really busy, so I can't today, and then that being that, he, presented like a solution, an alternative.
Good. That's good. So he's responding to your needs. He's coming up with solutions. That's good. That's really good. So yeah, I think like your whole worries were maybe understandable in the moment, but have been proven to
Yeah.
not be as
And I
accurate
think
as you once thought.
my worries come from past relationships or like
Drama.
yeah past dramas with like dating different types of guys who were
Yeah.
probably very toxic and lacked communication skills, lacked emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And so I kind of just have like that fear in the back of my
Yes.
head.
I understand. I think we.
And it was
It's strange that.
also yeah.
Go on.
And I think it was also because I had told him the situation.
Hmm.
And so usually like whenever like I tell them the situation, if they say like, okay, like yeah, like I don't care, but then the communication starts to like decline.
Yeah, they try to kind
And
of
so
let it
I
die.
start to feel like maybe like you said you were okay with it, but like you're not really okay with it, you know?
Yeah. 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 It happens. I think.
And for those who like don't know what I'm talking about me being trans and dating. And me telling them that I am trans, and then the communication just like starts to decline after that. And we end up, I don't know, ghosting each other.
But I don't
So
think
yeah.
it's. I don't think it's a. I don't think that is a my words today, I can't think of what I want to say. I don't think that's unique to you in your situation because that happens to a lot of people. It's happened to me. It's happened to a lot of my friends. I hear it's a common occurrence. You
I
know,
get
people
that.
say,
I get that that happens. But what I'm saying
no,
is
but
like,
not just ghosting. It's like, we're going to coin a new phrase. It's going to be like a slow ghosting. It's where people
nah,
say nice things like, no, you're such a lovely person. And they just gradually let the conversation decline and decline and decline and decline until it forces you to give up. Instead of them just ghosting you cold turkey, they just kind of
yeah,
like slowly ease the conversation into non-existence over course of like a week. Slow ghosting. Have you ever
yeah.
experienced
There's
that?
a
Because I
word for
have.
it. I forget. Oh, it's breadcrumbing.
Breadcrumbing? Okay, right. So there's
Yes.
already a
Have you
word
heard
for
of
it.
the term?
No, I haven't, but I like breadcrumbing better than slow ghosting.
Yeah, it's called breadcrumbing. So they
Okay.
will it'll start off really strong and they'll give you like, like consistency, attention, and
Mm-hmm.
then slowly they'll just like start to like pull back
Mm-hmm.
and they won't be as consistent as they were before. They won't give you like as much attention. They won't be like as sweet and genuine as they were before. So it gets you to
Mm-hmm.
like start wondering like what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Are they still interested? Are they not? And then sometimes like they'll come back and so you'll be grateful for like the that attention that they're like putting in at that moment because you're like maybe like they are interested and like maybe they were just really busy or something like that. Like you start to make excuses and they'll just start doing like the bare minimum and it's just like it'll be less and less and less
Mm-hmm.
until like they don't really have to like put in that much effort, so they're just like breadcrumbing you. But
I
then
like
if
it.
they're, like, not interested, like, at all and they want nothing to do with you and they just, like, end up ghosting you, then you're kinda, like, used to it. And then you'll just be like, "Oh, like, I guess they weren't interested." So,
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because if you get so used to somebody breadcrumbing you, sounds kind of weird when you say it like that.
yeah.
It does, doesn't it? But if you get so used to somebody doing that to you, I think you probably start to see or assume everyone's going to do that to you. So the moment somebody actually has a healthy reason not to message you back, like they're busy with work or they're busy just being a healthy human being living their life, you immediately assume they're doing that to you and you accidentally do it back to them.
Yeah.
Like
I am so guilty of
accidental
doing
reverse
that.
breadcrumbing.
Yeah.
I
It's so
feel like that's
bad.
happened. I feel like I've maybe done that. I feel like I've maybe thought about doing that because you kind of like get
Yeah.
self-conscious. You're like, oh, I'm not going to even put the effort in the conversation
Yeah. But
because
it's just like,
I'm
"Oh,
assuming they're
they're
doing it
not
to me.
putting in the eff" yeah, like, they're not putting in the effort, so why am I gonna put the effort? And in the
Mm,
past, it's just been like, I've always been the one that's, like putting in a lot of effort and
yeah,
making the conversation happen. I don't know. Lately, I've just been sitting back, not doing any of the chasing. If you're
not being
interested, you're
on
interested.
Hinge, not doing any
Not,
dating
I am
apps.
not on Hinge. I'm not
Yeah,
on Bumble. I've
good.
been kicked off of Tinder like a while ago, so I can't go on that. We're not going to talk about the reason why I got kicked off.
I think I remember it, but if you don't want to talk
Yeah,
about it, we don't have to talk about
that can be another episode.
another episode. Okay, we'll do that another time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Guys, stay tuned for that in the future. That
I
could be a
can.
clip. It could be like, why did Karlie get kicked off Tinder in big letters? And then it's just going to be me and you like, caption this. What? These faces.
To be continued.
But it's so, they're dying those apps anyway. They're dying.
Yeah.
There has been, I do this thing occasionally. I'll admit this. I do this occasionally every couple of weeks. I'll re-download it for about 5 seconds, log in and go, no, and then delete it again.
Yeah.
I do that because my brain is like, oh, what if? And then as soon as it's installed, I go, what the fuck am I doing? And I delete it straight away again because I've got this kind of like weird thing in my head where I'm like, what if somebody's messaged me, or what if like I need to probably delete the accounts and not just the apps, but I'm not active on there, so there's no one gonna be messaging me. So it's like this weird, stupid kind of like what if kind of scenario in my brain that's just not healthy. But again, I'm not. I also we've talked about this again, and I keep wanting to say it over and over again. I do not want to meet somebody that way because it's a boring story. It's
It
not an
really
unusual
is.
beginning. It's a boring story.
Like, guy that I'm talking to right now, we met on Hinge, so I'm just like, I also like not putting in a lot of effort because if it does turn into like something, then it's just like, oh, we met on Hinge.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
It's not going with our brand with what we're starting.
It's not
So
going with our brand. We need to live and breathe our brand.
yeah,
Bullshit.
I'm not gonna go ahead and end it, but like if it ends, it's
No,
whatever.
this is the thing. We've discussed this actually, haven't we? I think we said this when we were in Madrid. We were in Madrid together last weekend. We had a great time. Just thought I'd throw that out there. I don't think we've
It
actually
was my
mentioned that on
last
this.
weekend in Madrid, and
Yeah, I came over and we had a good weekend. We went to one of those dating events, which was fun.
oh my God, let's talk about that
Yeah,
actually.
let's talk about that. Yeah, so we went to a what was the theme of the dating event? It was you fill in a form when you get there, and then they
Yeah,
match you with one person at the end of the night. But the matching was not good. It was not great. Like
no, not at all. So the whole, I'll explain it.
you
The
explain
whole
it.
event, you walk in, we were actually like an hour late
Were we?
because we are like,
Right.
oh, it's Madrid. Everything starts late. We're gonna go
Yeah,
get
yeah,
drinks. And our friends that we were waiting on were already like, you know, 10
yeah,
minutes late.
yeah.
And then after we're like, let's go get drinks. It's nearby. And so we go and get drinks and then we get lost in the conversation that's going on with our friends.
Hmm.
And then we're like, oh, it's already been like an hour and a half. Let's walk back. Thankfully, it was only like a 3-minute walk. So we were
Hmm.
there just we walk in and it was at a rooftop location in Madrid. It was really cute. Like the view was, immaculate. The sun was starting to set. We get there, they're explaining like the whole ordeal of how everything works. We basically just scanned the QR code, filled in the questionnaire, which I was asking like Maddie and Nathan, and their questions were some of them were really different from like mine.
Really?
Yeah, so it wasn't the same question. So how would you like match people when the
That's
questions
interesting.
itself like is not the same? Yeah, like
I'd
most
love
of it
to
was the same, but
find
there
out
were
how.
some questions that like they told me and I was like, I didn't get that question at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
So
I don't
that's
remember
already
half the
my question
questions.
one. Yeah. If you wanted to be consistent, I feel like you should have the same questions for everybody.
Yes, absolutely. So you can
You know,
like, but then that's a direct match and stuff. Maybe they had some kind of AI language model that matched it based on preferences and
yeah.
interests, but who knows? I
But
don't
it was
think they
like,
were that
but it,
advanced.
yeah, but it was like you, like the questions weren't just like yes or no. Like you actually had to fill it out,
Mm.
like you had to be specific of like what you wanted. Cause I think one of the questions was, I think one of the yes or no's is like how important like family is to you. But then some of it is how you are in a relationship and like what you're looking for in a relationship. And
Yeah, it
so,
was like questions like how important is it that somebody you share the cleaning in a household relationship, and it was like things like that. It was like strongly agree,
yeah.
disagree.
And then there were some that like you would like actually like fill out, at least
There
for
were
me.
some, yeah. Actually, I don't remember. I remember the questions were mostly multiple choice, strongly agree, strongly disagree, and then the in between for me. But I remember there were a few like typed details, but I did it so quick. I remember because we were stood there and Maddie and Nathan, they were shocked that I'd done it so quick. And I was like, well, it's just click, 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 click. So it was really easy for me to do. So maybe I got some really easy questions. Who knows? But
Maybe.
it's interesting that we got different questions again. And so like the person that I got matched with, I'd already spoken to her early in the night and there was just nothing there. So when she came to me and was like, hey, we've been matched, I was like,
Well, at least you know who your match was. They matched me with someone. And also the thing about the matches, they email you like towards the end of the night and they give you the person's name, their email, and I think their phone number. And
do
that's
they?
it. Yeah. Did you not?
I don't, I'll have to check my emails because she came over
Yeah.
to me and said, check your emails. And I opened my email app when we were sat there having a drink and there was nothing. So I don't
Yeah.
know why.
And also, yeah, because I initially everybody was checking their email. They were like, "Oh, like we got our matches." And I was like, "Oh, like I don't think I got mine because you had bought the tickets, so they had your email." So I was also a little tipsy, so I was like they have Johnny's email, so like, but then I forgot that I
You put
entered
it in.
my email information when I was doing the questionnaire, and that's what it was about. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
let me check. And so I did,
Who
and
did
long
you
and
get matched with?
behold, it had my match.
Who was it?
Let me go back
Don't say
because
names here.
they, yeah, they gave me my match, and I had like called the number on WhatsApp, did not answer. So I was
Right.
just like, and you know, I was in my lover girl era with the guy that I had met the night before, so I wasn't really.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
You were not interested. You
I
were
was
already
not
like,
interested in.
I've met
I
somebody.
wasn't interested in anybody. I went
Uh-huh.
into that like dating thing strictly as a business, yeah, a
We
business
were
dinner,
strictly there
or
for
not even a
business.
business
Yeah.
dinner, like a business like hangout, because we
Yeah.
were doing research for our app,
Yeah.
and
We wanted to see how
also,
other companies handled stuff like this because this is what
yeah,
we're kind of planning to do, but better, but way better.
exactly. And also the matches that like there were there, the girls were definitely better looking. So the girls showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was better for
The only
me.
man that was attractive was Johnny. Everyone, Johnny
This is
was
what
a
I was
hot.
told.
Yeah, Johnny was a hot commodity. All the girls, they kept coming up to me because they knew that like we're best friends. And they're like, oh my God, like he's so hot. And I'm like, well, girl, get in line. Like, let me know what you want me to like say. I got you. I will be like a great wing woman. And I was being a great wing woman, honestly.
Mm,
I got you so many
were you?
girls.
Is
And
that
I
why
was
I
a
did
lot
so
of the
well?
girls that like went up to talk to him. I was like, don't be shy. Like, yeah, go ahead. Like he's a great guy. He's so genuine, so sweet, like literally green flags all around because you are.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate that.
so, and I don't have a lot of guy friends, platonic friends. So you're like a brother to me. And so I see all of like the good and the bads, and there isn't like any bads, honestly. But yeah.
Thank you very much. It's very sweet of you.
It is. And also the name of the thing, it was, which is basically saying like fucking foreigners or something like that.
Yeah, I was told something to do with foreigners, and it was a little bit like it's a bit it's not a nice thing.
Yeah.
But like I don't get that like Madrid to me seems like a melting pot of cultures. It seems like it's very traveler
Yeah,
friendly.
there's a lot.
There's 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 just mostly foreigners there, like in the city.
Yeah.
Because like I went to
There's like
I was
lots of
talking
like
to
South
somebody that
Americans. I've met so many like Swedish, Brits,
yeah.
like North,
Apparently, a
yeah,
lot of the
lots of
Spanish
Norwegian
people
people.
will only go there for work. They don't actually live in the city. This is what I was told by somebody. I don't know how true it is, but it makes sense because, like, apparently the weekend that we were there was a holiday weekend, so a lot of Spanish people left the city to go be with their family outside the city. So, for a brand to be called that, like fucking foreigners or whatever it's called, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me because it's like, who else is going to be there? I don't know. I don't get it.
Literally. Oh, but I have my
Okay.
match.
Yeah.
So his name was Alex. So it just gives you their first name.
Okay.
So I couldn't even like search them on Instagram or anything. And then
Yeah,
it
you
gives
couldn't
you the
even snoop on them.
compatibility.
But what was
Huh?
the compatibility?
The compatibility was 86.9%.
Okay. I want to see. I want to see what mine was. I need to
Yeah. And then
search
it gives you their email and their phone number.
Hi, thanks for coming to La Noche del Amor. We're happy to share your most compatible person, Jessica, 87.79%. And I've got her email and phone number.
And you've already met her.
I already met her, yeah. But I felt really bad with what happened because I don't know if you remember, but she came over and, well, her friend came over with her and was like, hi, this is who you've matched with. And I said, oh, because I was busy chatting to some other people that I liked. And I was like very kind. I was like, I'll come chat to you in a bit. Is that okay? She was like, yeah, yeah. And then I totally forgot. And then Nathan was like, come over here, man. He sat down and he was like, I have to ask you, are you actually interested or not? And I just like politely said to Nathan, no, I don't think I am. Because I'd already realized that I wasn't interested at that point and I didn't want to kind of waste time chatting to her. But I think that somehow got back to her because someone then later mentioned that I was a little bit rude about it. It wasn't my intention. I was just like so overwhelmed with the night, didn't really, I kept forgetting and I didn't actually see her again anyway. So, but I felt really bad about that because maybe I upset her or something. Who knows?
Sucks, but
That's just the way of the world, isn't it?
it's not your fault. People's feelings get hurt when you're playing telephone.
Playing telephone? What does that mean?
You've never
I've
heard
never
of
heard
that, like
that before.
playing like
No,
telephone?
no.
You've never played like telephone in like school, like in kindergarten or whatever,
What, like
or
cup
elementary
telephone?
school?
Elementary
No.
school?
So you like
What are you
basically
talking
sit
about?
around in a circle
Yeah,
with all of your classmates, and
yeah.
then someone will like say like a sentence or like a phrase, or yeah, they'll say like a sentence, and they'll
Uh,
tell like that the person next to them, and then the person next to them tells it to the next person, so on and so on,
that's
and then it
Chinese
gets back
whispers.
to you. Huh?
That's Chinese whispers.
Well, we call it just telephone.
All right, yeah, that's Chinese whispers. And the message gets muddled as it gets passed through people. That's Chinese
Yeah,
whispers. Telephone.
we call it telephone. Sorry,
Okay. No, it's
American.
like it's interesting. It's interesting what different cultures call different things. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, so you have a name for it, right? Yeah, but how is that relevant?
Because, like you said, it might have got the information might have gotten to her. So
Yes,
like it probably just
it might
got like someone
translated
misunderstood
wrongly.
it and
Absolutely, it could have. Yeah,
yeah. Or you
but
could
again,
have said it and then someone next to you probably took it the wrong way and then they told the next person and then so the next
yes,
person was like, what the hell? And then it got to her.
yeah, and also when Nathan spoke to me, I didn't, I didn't like physically check my surroundings to see if she wasn't stood right next to me or something. And that plays
That's like
back in my mind. She could have been stood
yeah.
right there. And I was a bit tipsy. I was a bit like, I just leant into Nathan. I was like, hey, what's up? And he was like, are you interested in her, this girl? And I was like, oh, no, I don't think I am, man. I'm not going to bother.
Wait,
And
why
she
was
could have
Nathan
been,
asking?
I don't know. I assume maybe because someone had asked him to ask because they'd seen that we were friends. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, felt bad anyway. One of those things. Yeah.
Say that me.
So happy. Yeah. So what other potential matches were there for you other than the one that
None.
none?
I was talking to the girls the entire night.
Do you think that the female experience was the same for every female there? That it was just the fact that the quality of males there was just not high standard. Yeah, I got that feeling, and I noticed that a lot of the men there were just very unconfident in talking and making conversation with people, whereas I was just going around chatting to everybody, making friends. And that was, I think, mainly the key difference because I kind of probably exerted a lot more confidence than the other guys there.
I think it's that and also the fact that like you were pretty much like one of the few good looking people there, good looking men
Maybe.
who were also above 6 foot. That would
Yes,
be
you wouldn't
so
believe how much
shallow.
that makes a difference. But it makes a
Yeah,
massive difference, yeah.
it does because a lot of them were like not attractive. And so you didn't like physically, you didn't see anything. So you are not even looking to start anything up.
Because there's not that kind of like, no one's catching your eye physically, so you're not even willing to go and have a conversation with them and
Yeah,
see what they're like emotionally.
exactly.
It's
Because
very
even if
shallow.
that, like, you're just seeing them as, as just friends, if that.
Yes, yes, yeah.
I
But
mean,
like,
I can't
but
speak for like all of the other girls, but I think for me, I was thinking of someone else. So literally no one that I saw caught my eyes. And so I
Mhm.
wasn't even trying to like give them the time of day. But also
Mhm.
when I was talking to a lot of the other girls, they basically said like the same thing. They said like none of the guys are catching their eyes. Physically, they're not attracted to like anyone over there. I think I probably saw like maybe two other guys who were physically attractive, but I wasn't really like that interested. And they were also like talking to like other girls and they were talking to like the same person basically the entire night. Like people weren't, that was another thing. People weren't like moving around and talking to different people. Like they would just find one person and then they would just like stick to talking to that person for like the whole night.
Well, maybe they found somebody that they were really attracted to and they were working on like building a rapport with them. And that's great because like that's what you're there for, aren't you? You're there to kind of meet somebody.
Yeah.
And I sort of did that towards the end of the night. I picked a particular person that I wanted to that had caught my eye the mostly, and I wanted to chat to them. So, maybe they just did that early on in the night, and that's fine. But yeah,
And then the icebreaker
a
game that
game.
they tried to play, that was awful.
Was it the Hearts? Was that the icebreaker game?
Yeah, it was not like so hold on, because I have it.
Yeah, get it out. Yeah, because you've got mine still, haven't you?
Yeah.
Good memory, that actually. You should keep those.
I have it in my journal that you
Mm.
also got me.
Mm-hmm.
So they had these hearts, and you had to match it with the person who had the same color. But not only that, the phrase had to match. I don't know what yours was for like
That was
perfect.
mine. That's
Yeah,
mine.
this was Johnny's. His was perfect, and then there was another like
Yeah.
what was the match?
Well, mine matched with three other people, right? And because they seem to have cut the shapes in a very uniform standard way, so that my shape matched with pretty much most people. And because perfect is kind of an ending, can be an ending to most sentences, there was quite a
Yeah.
few phrases where it matched perfectly. Whereas they could have made more effort to make it match with only one person, and they could have made more effort to cut those shapes in a more unique way that I only matched with one person, and that would have been
Yeah.
much better.
And then another thing, they made way too many of these for the amount of people that were there because
Mm-hmm.
when they gave me mine, I literally went up to every guy, no match.
So you had the
No,
opposite experience to me.
yeah, I had the opposite experience. I had absolutely no match to the point where I was walking by the event organizers, and they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was like, "Awful." And I kept on walking by. I was like, "Absolutely no matches. It's awful." And then
They
they
must have
like
been
came
like,
up
oh
to
no.
me and they were like, "Oh, like we're so sorry. We really want you to like have a match. So like let us know who like you find attractive and like what their heart says, and we'll
Mm.
like basically manipulate it and give you like their match." So I'm like, "Okay."
It kind of takes the special experience away from it, but I understand they're
Yeah,
trying to remedy the
I'm like
situation.
that's not special anymore.
Yeah.
And they like ended up checking in later and they said, "Oh, did you find anybody?" And I was like, "No, not really." Because I didn't, and I did not want to put in that much effort.
Mm.
It wasn't that big of a deal for me, and I don't know.
Yeah.
And
No,
it
I
wouldn't have
get it.
been special. It wouldn't have been unusual. It would have just been like Hinge, but in person.
Well, that's a good thing, is it not? Hinge in person, because that's what we're trying to. That's
Yeah,
what
that's what
we're
I'm
trying to
saying. I'm
eliminate the
saying like
dating
if I
apps.
had like told them like, exactly who I wanted and they like give it to me, I was like, that would just be Hinge in person. And I want it to be unusual. I want it to
Yeah.
be like an unusual beginning.
But the fact that you were in Madrid on a rooftop makes that pretty good. It doesn't make it
Yeah,
unusual, but it makes it a authentic experience. I think that's more what we're trying to get out of places like that.
yeah,
Our events are going to be unusual, but other events can just be authentic. We just want an authentic connection, good eye contact, butterflies in our stomach, nice
yeah,
conversation, and it's a explode from there. That's what you
yeah.
really want from an event like that. It doesn't have to be unusual. Not like the red flag auction that we're going to be doing. That's going to be unusual.
I cannot wait for that.
I'm currently planning it out. I've been putting together a document, which I'll share with you after this call, about how we're going to plan it all and
Perfect.
run the event. But we need to find a venue, and we've got a logistical problem now because, in case everybody doesn't know, I'm still in the UK now, and where are you? You're back in Boston.
Back in Boston.
So we've got a bit of a logistical problem
But
now.
the good thing is that the UK is not in the Schengen area, so I can
Yes,
actually fly out to the
you can come.
UK.
Yeah, you can
Which,
fly
if
out.
you were in Madrid or anywhere like else in Europe that's in the Schengen zone, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to like, physically go.
But that's why we're going to do it in the UK. I think we're going to go to probably London at first. I would love to run an event in Madrid. And now that we've actually met, we've met a couple of people over in Madrid that run events that said that they could help us, which was really nice. Um, yeah, do you remember Tatiana? She runs those deep chats, which we can tag actually in this Instagram channel if we want, because we've mentioned her. We'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, she runs. I want to go to one of her events. It looks really good. She's very much about like we were of a similar mindset where we want to try to get off social media more, get people connecting in an authentic way in person, having deep conversations, no small talk. And I think I like well, I've not been to any of those events, but I like the idea of those kind of events, which is sound. So,
Yeah, and I
we've
think I
got
remember
connections in
seeing
Madrid for
like
that now.
advertisements for it when I was living in Madrid,
Oh, really?
and I wanted to do it.
Yeah. You should have done it.
I know.
But you didn't know the owner at the time. It's funny that we just ran into her at that.
Didn't, but also like I had already naturally, met people out in the
Yeah.
wild.
Out in the wild. I like that phrase.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm a pretty outgoing person.
Yes, you are.
Literally, one of my great friends that I met in Madrid, I met her in the club bathroom. So
Uh,
we're not gonna say her name because she's
okay.
not supposed to be
Sorry.
coming out.
What can cut that out?
You will
Cut
be
that
like,
out. Is that beep? Yeah, we just beep it out. Put like
but yeah,
a thing over
like
the mouth.
literally my first night out in Madrid, and we went to Capital, which is I wish that like we had gone, but I had gone so many times that I just didn't really care. But yeah, it's this really like big club and there's like 7 floors and we just so happened to be in like the same floor that she was in the bathroom and some other girl had like kind of sparked the conversation. Like she was very outgoing and she was talking about how like she's like from New York. And then it's just like, oh my God, like I lived in New York and like that kind of started the conversation. And then she also was like, I'm also from New York. And so we all kind of like connected. But then I exchanged like my Instagram with her. And then the next day she was like, hey, I saw that you modeled. I like do photography. Like, let's, get together and shoot. We finally got together, but it was literally like last week before I left
Yeah, I
because,
saw the photos. You did like a
yeah, but
photo
it was
shoot, didn't you?
because
Yeah, it's
all
nice.
of it was raining the entire time after that, like in Madrid. So there was no way for us to shoot. Yeah. But we ended up just like, meeting for like brunches and then like going out. And then we were literally texting every day. So we would always just like meet in the city and hang out. And then, yeah, we got close. So like that's an unusual beginning.
That's an authentic beginning.
Yeah.
Unusual, yeah, I guess.
Unusual, yeah, you meet like in the bathroom. And usually
Yeah,
like,
that's unusual.
girls that you like meet in the bathroom, they're like your best friends for the night, but then you never like really talk to each other.
Best friends for the night. Does that happen often? That does not happen to men.
Oh no,
That's
not the
just
men, but the
that's just
girls.
like
Yes. That's
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a
I
thing.
want to
Like the girls
stipulate
that you
that
meet in the bathroom. The girls' bathroom, oh my God. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. Like I love women. We are just so, how do I say this?
supportive.
Yeah, very, very supportive. Like, if you can meet a random girl in the bathroom and if she's like crying, you'll literally ask her, like, oh my God, like, what's wrong? Like, she'll give you details, she'll give you the backstory, she'll tell you exactly what's going on. If she had just broken up with her girlfriend, literally everybody in that bathroom, if they hear it, they will be supporting her. We will ask all of the questions like, what happened? What did he do? What's going on? We'll ask for pictures. And if he's ugly, we'll be like, girl, he's so ugly. Like, get up. You can do so much better. And we will literally be her women for the night.
It's literally this opens up a whole kind of worms of a conversation between the difference between men and women, but it's so different for men. Number one, it's a kind of an unspoken rule. You never fucking talk to anybody in the bathroom, especially in the urinal. No, men do not fucking do it. It's weird. Have you, I never want to have a conversation while I'm trying to just get in, get out. That's all I'm trying to do.
But like, don't you guys like have a conversation when you're like waiting in the line to the bathroom?
No,
See,
we
guys
just
are
don't
so
do it.
boring.
But this is the thing, right? I saw a great quote recently, and it's kind of sad, but it also kind of sums up how it feels to be a man. And it was the quote was, "Women rely on men, children rely on men. Who can men rely on?" No one.
Well, men can rely on men.
No, not really. We don't really rely on other people. We do, but it's like family and close friends. But there isn't this whole kind of like, that you guys have, you women have, where you can like literally just
Maybe that's
cry
probably
and people
why
will run to
the
you. If a man's
yeah, and
crying,
that's probably
no
why like the
one's going to
suicide
him.
rates are so high with men because you guys feel that
Absolutely.
you can't like rely on anyone because
Yeah.
the patriarchy has taught you that you have to be the
It's
alpha
not.
male
It's
and you
not
have, you know,
patriarchy.
but it
It's
is. You say that it's not, but like it is. Like men have set up the system that they are the
we've not set up the
providers.
system.
They have to
It's a
be strong.
natural.
They can't be weak.
It's just
And
a
they like
natural
can't
phenomenon.
rely on anybody else.
It's
Okay.
not because, and let me explain to you why. Because naturally, and you can deny this if you want to, but I know this to be mostly true, is a woman will generally, whether she knows it or not, have less respect for a man if he's not capable. If he's not capable of managing his emotions, if he's not capable of managing his finances, if he's not strong physically, if he's not a problem solver, a provider, if he's not, he can be emotional, but he always has to have control, solutions, and you guys can come to us and just break down and moan and we'll listen to you and but if we do that, unless it's our actual wife or girlfriend, which we can probably do it with them then, but in the early dating phases, if we did that, that's the end of it. We've got to show, we've got to show strength, safety, all of these traits which come with being
Don't agree with that.
stoic man. You don't agree with any of that? Why?
I don't agree with that. Like I
Tell me.
do agree with it within I do agree that we are looking for a man who is, strong and, emotionally like intelligent and is able
Mhm.
to, control their emotions and all of that. But
Yes,
I don't agree with the fact that like we're just looking for a man that's just like basically numb and doesn't show any emotion and
I
doesn't
didn't
show
say that.
any
I didn't
because
say that.
for me personally, like even like with like my guy friends or anything like that, or even if I'm like talking to a guy, I do want you to like be vulnerable and I do want you to open up. And if you like are struggling, like yeah, we're not saying like bitch and moan and then just be like weak as in the fact that like you are kind of just like playing like the victim or anything like that. We're just saying like yeah, like acknowledge it, but you're also like working on yourself and like allowing us to like do help you, even if it's just like emotionally, like kind of like motivating you. But you're still like getting up and like you're doing the work. But also, like, you guys can do that like with each other. The fact is that
We don't
men,
know.
you guys don't know and you don't know how to rely on each other and you call each other gay if you show like any signs of like emotion, and it's just like be strong, be a man, don't cry, don't be a wuss. Like you've kind of just like created this world for yourselves, and so you feel like you can't even talk to like not you because you have a great relationship with your guy friends, but not a lot of guys are like this.
Uh,
And also, guys like don't usually like share a lot of details, and like women usually do, because we can literally share every single thing about what's going on in our lives with our girlfriends, and they will actually like be engaging in the conversation and try to come up with solutions or even feed into like your delusions or your delulus. But like guys, they can literally be like best friends with someone with like another guy and not really know anything about them. And you see a lot of that on social media where it's like wives and like their husbands, and like the husbands will like come home and tell their wives like, oh, my best friend just got married, and then they will ask questions like, oh my god, how did he do it, like what's like
yeah,
asking
that seems to
details,
have
and they're
become
like,
like a
oh, they're like,
trend.
oh, I don't know, I didn't ask.
Yeah, I
Or
don't
they
like
they're
that
like,
because it
"Oh,
seems to have become a bit of a
so and
bullshit
so
trend.
just broke up with, like, his girlfriend," and then they're like, "Oh my god, what happened?" Like, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't ask." So your best friend just went through, like, a very hard time and broke up like, came out of a, like, probably a long-term relationship, and you didn't think to, like, ask, like, how he's doing, like, what happened, showing up for him. So no wonder, like, men usually feel alone, because you guys haven't been taught to, like, be there for each other. So
No, but
I don't know.
there's being there for each other, and then there's a certain amount of sharing that we do. We have a limited amount of sharing that we'll do versus what you guys will do. We'll only share just the right amount. It'll be like a scenario will be like, oh, I'm feeling down today. Right? Why are you feeling down? I don't know. I just woke up and I'm not feeling my best. That'll be it. That's like as far as it goes. And then the other guy will be like, okay, cool. Well, maybe take it easy, go for a run. Like, and that'll be the end of the conversation. It won't be like an in-depth, like, why do you think that's like, we don't. And also going back to a point you made earlier about, the whole kind of men not being there for each other. No, going back to a point where we were talking about what a man should be. If a man in the early dating phase was crying in a bathroom, you would think less of him. If a man was
Well,
crying in a
we
bathroom
wouldn't
on
be in
his
the
own
same
randomly,
bathroom.
you would think less of him. If he was just like doing that, like this is what generally men
No,
don't do versus women.
I
We
think that
have to be
depends
much more in
on
control.
the yeah. But I also think that's depends on like the sort of person that like is in the area. Because if a man is crying right in front of me,
There's probably for a very good reason,
yeah, it would be for like a good reason, but also like
a
that's a human
seriously
being
big reason.
crying. So like
Yeah.
if it was like us two in like the bathroom, because in Madrid there's like a lot of shared bathrooms. And I think that's just like who I am as a person. I feel other people's emotions as well and like very intensely. So like if someone's crying and like it's just like us two in the bathroom, like or like whatever situation, I would say, "Hey, like are you okay? Like what's going on?" And I would want to like try and like at least be there to like listen if they needed to vent. But that's just like who I am. Because I do have friends who they think that like their partner crying is weak. And I don't agree with that. So I think it just depends
Yeah,
on
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think I mean, to have this conversation, we're overgeneralizing. We have to overgeneralize in order to have a conversation. And if we start picking up the exemptions, not the right word, might be the right word, then we're going to be having this conversation forever. But generally speaking, I think in a relationship, the relationship should be a safe space so a man can cry if he needs to. If he's crying every day and for stupid reasons and he's just overly sensitive and he's breaking down over everything, either he's got some serious problem and needs to go to a therapist, or he's probably going to be considered weak by his female partner because she's going to be like, oh, you know, he's just, this is just who he is. He's crying all the time. It's getting kind of annoying. And probably vice versa, actually, to be fair. I would probably
yeah,
be like, come on, you're crying too much. Definitely, if the male was doing that a lot, it would generally be like, come on, you're not really fulfilling your male stoic role here. We generally should be more in control than the women in a way. There's some exceptions to that, of course, but that's my view generally. Like we should be considered the safe space, the problem solver, the provider. Like these are the things that generally we are considered to be doing. And if we're not doing those things, then we're not fulfilling our role. Because like we should make a safe space for a woman to feel more feminine and allow her to be more emotional and more kind of, and then she can provide what she wants to provide in the relationship, which is generally, again, we're generalizing here, the homemaker, somebody that provides emotional support to the family. These are like roles that are kind of stereotypical. But so yeah, going back to what I just said before. So if a man is breaking down all the time, either he's got some kind of problem, maybe he's depressed, maybe he's got some problems going on in his life, or he probably needs to get a grip of himself and do some work on himself because he's not fulfilling what is considered manly or stoic. I think we can agree on that.
I can definitely agree with that.
But yeah, again, if it works both ways, to be honest, if a woman was crying all the time, I'd be like, right, come on. I don't mind occasionally, but if you're crying and you're getting overly
If you're
sensitive
crying
about
every day,
everything,
there's nothing like
I'd be like, what's wrong with you?
there's something you need to get to a therapist.
Yeah, yeah.
Which we actually need to set up like my I need to find a therapist.
But thank you for listening. Check out the website to keep up to date with the events that we'll be running. They're going to be coming soon in London and in Europe and maybe in the US, New York
Definitely,
as well.
check us out on Instagram and all of our other
Instagram,
socials.
Unusual
Keep up
Beginnings,
with
YouTube,
what's going
Unusual
on.
Beginnings. We'll put the links in the description so you can get to our Instagram. Yeah, but cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye.